So we have spoken about all of the benefits that sleep provides, but how much sleep should we actually be getting? For the average adult, the current recommendation is somewhere between 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. What we have been finding is that using that reference point of 7 to 9 hours, once you start to drop below that, you'll actually start to see mortality risk starts to rise, starts to increase. In fact, the Center of Disease Control in the United States, or CDC, they stipulate a minimum of 7 hours of sleep a night for the average adult. In other words, the shorter your sleep, the shorter your life. But it turns out it's not quite so linear. The relationship that, as you would expect, it's it's not as though that the more and the more that you sleep, the lower and lower your mortality risk is. In fact, something strange happens when you get past 9 hours. You will actually start to see a rise back up in mortality risk, which seems rather strange and peculiar. And the scientists have actually put forward at least two different explanations. One explanation is that when you look at these studies, it may be that these individuals are suffering from significant disease or illness. When you become infected or when you have disease, typically you try to sleep longer, you try to stay in bed longer. In other words, it may be the unmeasured disease or sickness in these studies that are triggering a response in these individuals to try to sleep, to try and sleep longer. That's one explanation. The second possible explanation is poor sleep quality. Because we know poor sleep quality, independent of poor sleep quantity, is also associated with the risk of death. People who have a disease typically try to sleep longer. They will try to stay in bed longer. So it may be to overcome that poor quality of sleep. So it may be that the poor quality of sleep masquerading as long sleep, which is also associated with higher risk of death rather than the long sleep itself. But if we take one step back and think about society as overall, I think modernity is constantly pushing us to perhaps work long hours that we neglect our sleep. But if we want to be around long enough to get the benefits and fruits of all of our hard labor, we may want to think about starting to prioritize our sleep some more.